Hello again, I'm James Taylor, the author of Jazz and Improvised Piano, and in this video clip I'd like to discuss the 251. It'll be slightly longer than some of the others because I'm pulling quite a few strands together and it's quite an involved process, so this isn't for the faint-hearted. First of all, it will be very helpful if you've watched the videos on the minor chord in 7-9-3-5 voicing. That's the minor chord, the minor 7 chord in 7-9-3-5 voicing. And also if you watch the video on the major chord, the major 7 chord in 7-9-3-5 voicing. So it will be very helpful if you looked at those two videos before you look at this one. Now, why do we practice the minors, the 2-5-1 sequence? Well, first of all, we've got three different chords. We've got a minor 7 chord, and a 7 chord, and a major 7 chord. So we've got three different types of chords, and so using this progression we can learn three different types of chord, and it means that we can learn a lot of chords very quickly. The second reason is that the 2-5-1, or at least the 2-5, is a very commonly occurring sequence. The 2-5-1 often occurs in its entirety, but sometimes we just get the 2-5 bit of it, and then it might dive into a different key completely. So anyway, let's have a quick talk about how this relates to the keyboard now. If we're working in the key of C major now, these are the notes of C major scale. And of course, we can number these 1 to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we can play triads. Notice that the triad based on the first degree is a major triad. The triad based on the second degree is a minor triad. Then the third degree is minor, and the fourth is a major, and the fifth is a major. We'll be using that in a minute. And then 6 is minor, then we've got a diminished, then we've got the major on top. Well, we're just going to be using the chord 1, the chord 2, and the chord 5. Notice that this one is a major triad. We've got a major third here. The chord 2 is a minor triad with a minor third there, and the chord 5 is a major chord with a major third here. Now, we can put sevenths on top of these two. The seventh is the one, well, because we're working in C major, we're going to be using exclusively white notes. So if we've got a C major triad here, the seventh that we'll be using will be here. Notice it's one step below the upper C. So this is our C major 7 chord in very basic 1, 3, 5, 7 voicing. And then chord 2 will be a D minor triad, and the 7 here will be 2 steps below the upper D. 1, 2. So we've got a minor third, and the 7th is down 2 steps. Now this is chord 3. It's a minor 7, but we don't need that for the time being. And this is a chord 4, and this is a chord 5, which we will be needing. Notice for the chord 5, we've got a major triad, and the 7 is again down 2 steps. So we've got three different types of chord. We've got the major 7 chord here, which has got the major third, and the 7th is down 1 step below the C. That's major third, and 7th is down 1 step. And we've got the chord 2, which has got the minor third, and the 7th is down 2 steps. And we've got the chord 5, which has got the major third, and the 7 is down 2 steps. Again, this is all inside the book, Jazz and Improvised Piano. I should give some page references in the notes by this video. Now then, I hope you've seen the video on finding the minor 7-9-3-5. We've decided now that the chord 2 is going to be a minor 7 chord. So we're going to find this in a 7-9-3-5 voicing. So we find the D minor triad and replace the D with notes 2 steps each side. That's 2 down and 2 up. And that's our D minor chord in 7-9-3-5 voicing. Please refer to the video if you need to. So underneath this we could play a D in the left hand. and that's our chord. Now then, to get to the chord 5, all we've got to do is move the thumb down one step. All these other notes stay where they are. These stay where they are. All that happens is my thumb moves down a single step. And so we've moved from this D minor chord, the thumb goes down a single step to this chord here. Now this is our G7 chord. And I can hear you thinking now, how on earth can that be a G7 chord? Well, let's have a look. We've got, relative to the G, we've got the major third and we've got the 7th. When we find our G7 chord here, we had the B, the major third, and the F, which was the 7th. So here, simply because those notes are present, we've got the B and we've got the F. Because those two notes are present, this is an identifiable G7 chord. So long as I've got the root down, which I'm going to use my left hand. So that's our G7 chord. So far we've got the D minor 7 chord going to the G7 chord. And now the third chord in the setup is the chord 1. Well, this is our D minor 7 chord, and then our chord 5 is the chord based on the 5th note of C, which is a G. So it's going to be a G7 chord. We can find this simply by moving the thumb down a single step to there. And then finally we go to the C major 7 chord. So we've got chord 2, D minor 7, chord 5, G7, chord 1, C major 7. And if I put the phone down for a second, I'm going to play you these chords with the left hand playing the roots. And of course, I can do this in a sort of jazzy rhythm. When I get myself an assistant, I will redo this video and I will show you how I made that rhythm between the hands. It's basically left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, if that's any help to you. So that's the 2-5-1 in the key of C. From the chord 2, we move the thumb down a single step, and then we found the chord 1. So chord 2 was a D minor 7, chord 5 was a G7, chord 1 was a C major 7. Chord 2, D minor 7, chord 5, G7, chord 1, C major 7. Notice this thumb down trick again. Okay, so there are 3 other 2-5-1s that I talk about in my book. That's a 2-5-1 in the key of G, a 2-5-1 in the key of F, and a 2-5-1 in the key of E flat. Now, if we look at the key of G first of all, these are the notes for G major. So G is note 1, and A is note 2, 3, 4, 5. D is note 5. So chord 2 is going to be an A minor chord, because chord 2 is a minor chord. Chord 5 is going to be a D7 chord, and chord 1 is going to be a G major chord. So those are the roots, those are the notes that you'll be playing in the left hand for the 2-5-1. So chord 2 will be an A bass chord, chord 5 will be a D bass chord, and chord 1 will be a G based chord. So in the right hand, chord 2 will be an A bass chord. Chord 2 is a minor 7 chord, so we find our minor chord in 7-9-3-5 voicing. That's the minor triad. Place the bottom of the notes 2 steps each side, and that's the chord 2. For the chord 5, the D7 chord, all we do is move the thumb down a single step to F sharp, and then we've got chord 1, the G major chord. Again, from G major, replace the G with notes 1 step below and 2 steps above. So playing the left hand is going to play an A, a D, and a G. And the right hand is going to play this at the same time. So, putting it together. And then, after this, 2-5-1 in G, I could go to a 2-5-1 in the key of F. Now, F major scale. Now, the second note in F, notice it's actually 2 steps above the F. It's a G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth note of F is a C. So, chord 2 is going to be a G-based chord. Chord 5 is going to be a C-based chord. And, of course, chord 1 is going to be an F-based chord. So, chord 2 is going to be a G minor 7 chord. Chord 5 is going to be a C7 chord. And chord 1 is going to be an F major chord. So, for the chord 2, there's a G minor in 7-9-3-5 voicing here. So that's the first chord that we're going to use. Then we put the thumb down a single step, and that's our C7 chord. And then we find the chord 1, the F major 7 chord. So G minor 7, C7, F major. And so the left hand, of course, will play a G below that, a C below that, and an F below that. And it sounds like this. So, finally, let's look at a 2-5-1 in the key of E flat. Well, E flat, of course, is quite a tricky key. There's our E flat. Now, the second note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, there's our note for 1, and a note for 2, and a note for 5. Note 1 is an E flat, note 2 is an F, note 5 is a B flat. So for the chord 2, we're going to have an F in the bass. Chord 5, we're going to have a B flat in the bass. Chord 1, we're going to have an E flat in the bass. Chord 2 is going to be an F minor 7 chord in 7-9-3-5 voicing. So that's our first chord. The chord 5 is going to be a B flat chord. We just move our thumb down a single step. And then the chord 1, the E flat major chord, will be, there's our E flat, down 1 step, up 2 steps. There's our chord 1. So we've got our chord 2, F minor, our chord 5, B flat 7, our chord 1, E flat major. So with the left hand, that sounds like this. So we've actually covered 4 2-5-1s. If you follow that through, well done, that's fantastic. What you can do, you can string together the 2-5-1 in the G, and then play the 2-5-1 in the key of F, and then play the 2-5-1 in the key of E flat. And that sounds like this. Anyway, that's quite enough for now. In fact, to actually join those 2-5-1s together is extremely difficult. So if you practice doing that, if you have any level of success, well done. You've now got the tools that you can use to practice the 2-5-1 in any key. So if you get practicing, you'll be learning all your minor 7 chords in 7-9-3-5, and all your 7 chords in 3-6-7-9, which we'll talk about at some future point, and all your major 7 chords, which you're learning again in 7-9-3-5. So have fun with this, and the learning curve is very steep, but it's highly worthwhile because You will get so much out of doing this. It'll bring your playing on, it'll bring your knowledge of keyboard geography on so much. It's highly worthwhile. Have fun. Happy practicing.